Today, we're diving into an incredible story about Danish nurses and their perilous mission in the icy north during the Winter War of 1939 to 40. Let's get started.
I'm all ears. So what's this all about?
Well, back in 1939, the Soviet Union unexpectedly attacked Finland.
Right.
It was a total shock, and the Finnish people were massively outnumbered and under-equipped.
Oh, that's intense. And Denmark got involved?
Exactly. The Danish public was horrified by the invasion, and it became almost a national cause to support Finland.
Yeah.
Donations poured in, and people from all walks of life contributed in any way they could.
That's amazing solidarity. So the nurses volunteered to go to Finland?
Yes. The Danish Red Cross organized a fully equipped ambulance unit, which included nurses, doctors, mechanics, and other personnel. They were eager to help and stood in line to volunteer.
Wow, that's dedication. When did they depart?
They left Copenhagen just before Christmas in 1939.
Right.
Imagine traveling through freezing conditions, arriving in Haparanda on Christmas Eve with temperatures around minus 25 degrees Celsius.
Brr! That's freezing. And they didn't get a chance to rest, did they?
Not at all. An officer from the Finnish military met them and asked them to proceed immediately to a hospital further north.
Yeah.
They boarded a train and traveled another 3 hours into the icy wilderness.
That's quite a journey. What were the conditions like at the hospital?
Oh, it was challenging. The hospital was a converted tuberculosis sanatorium, packed with wounded soldiers suffering from frostbite and severe injuries.
Right.
The nurses had to dive right into work.
They must have been overwhelmed.
Absolutely. One nurse recounted how they worked from morning till night, changing dressings nonstop.
Wow.
She mentioned that they had to, kind of shut off part of themselves to cope with the harsh realities.
I can imagine. Dealing with so much suffering must have been emotionally exhausting.
Definitely. And on top of that, they were under constant threat from Soviet bombings.
Yeah.
They had to seek shelter frequently because even buildings marked with the Red Cross weren't spared.
That's terrifying. They were risking their lives every day.
Exactly. But despite the dangers, they persevered. The Finnish soldiers and locals greatly appreciated their efforts.
That's truly commendable. How did the Danish people back home support them?
Well, the entire nation rallied together.
Yeah.
People donated money, supplies, and even knitted warm clothing like socks and sweaters for the soldiers and volunteers.
That's heartwarming. So it was a nationwide effort?
Yes. From government officials to everyday citizens, everyone pitched in.
Right.
The Danish Red Cross's appeal was signed by political parties, trade unions, and organizations across the country.
That's incredible unity. Did the volunteers receive any recognition for their work?
They did. After the war ended in March 1940, the nurses and doctors returned to Denmark. They faced some difficulties due to the German occupation, but they made it back home.
Oh, that's right. Denmark was occupied by Germany then.
Exactly. Despite that, they received a hero's welcome at Copenhagen's main train station.
Yeah.
Family, friends, and officials greeted them with flowers and speeches.
That must have been touching.
Absolutely. They were also awarded medals by both the Finnish and Danish authorities.
Wow.
Even the Crown Prince thanked them personally.
Such high honors. They truly deserved it.
They did. And, their stories highlight the bravery and selflessness of those who help others in times of need. It's really inspiring.
It really is. Are there any specific anecdotes that stood out to you?
Well, one nurse talked about how they treated soldiers who hadn't been out of their clothes in weeks.
Oh my.
The conditions were so tough, and hygiene was a huge challenge.
That must have complicated medical care.
Definitely. They had to deal with infections, frostbite, and malnutrition. It was, overwhelming at times, but they managed to provide essential care.
Their resilience is astounding. Wait, but do you think they were adequately prepared for such harsh conditions?
Well, that's a good question.
Yeah.
They did receive some training, but honestly, nothing could fully prepare them for the realities they faced in the war zone.
That's understandable. It sounds like they had to adapt quickly.
Exactly. They had to rely on their skills and each other to get through it. Their ability to adapt was crucial.
It shows how resourceful they were.
Definitely. And it's interesting to note that the article draws parallels to today's conflicts, like the current situation in Ukraine.
Yeah, but do you think it's fair to compare the two situations?
Well, While the contexts are different, I think the underlying themes of invasion and humanitarian crisis are similar. It's about supporting those in need during times of aggression.
I see your point.
And the Danish Red Cross is continuing that tradition of providing aid.
Yeah.
They're actively involved in Ukraine, offering psychosocial support, health services, and essential supplies.
It does seem that the commitment to humanitarian efforts remains strong.
Absolutely. It shows that even in the face of repeated history, humanity can shine through. The spirit of those nurses lives on today.
Well said. It's like a reminder that every action counts.
Definitely. And perhaps, we can all find inspiration in their stories to do our part, no matter how small it may seem.
Agreed. This has been a really enlightening conversation.
I'm glad we could delve into this topic. It's important to remember and honor these acts of courage and compassion.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing all this.
Anytime. And thank you for exploring it with me.
Of course.
Let's hope we continue to uphold these values in our own lives.
Definitely. Until next time.